Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by accesslearningzone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Rost. Today we're going to talk about when you should and should not bind a form to a query in Microsoft Access. This one's for the beginners, especially beginners who are just starting to learn about table relationships, relating multiple tables together, like customers and orders, and putting those together into queries. So if you're a beginner and you want to learn more about relating tables together, go watch my relationships video first, and you'll better understand the topic that I'm talking about today. Today's question comes from Kieran in Newton, Massachusetts, one of my platinum members. Kieran says, I'm relatively new to Microsoft Access, but with the help of your tutorials, I'm making lots of progress. Thank you. You're welcome. One problem that I'm having is that I tried to make a continuous form where I can see customers and their order information, but whenever I try to edit something like the customer's address, it ends up changing all of the orders. I have my form based on a query that joins customers and orders and order details, but I'm not doing something right. Can you shed some light on this? And Kieran sent me some screenshots of what he's got going on in his database, and he's making a common mistake that I see from a lot of people who are beginners with Microsoft Access and relationships. Let me show you what he's got going on. All right, here's a copy of my Tech Help free template. This is a free database. You can grab a copy off my website if you want to. And this database has customers, right? Customer table. It's got an order table and an order detail table. For example, each customer can have multiple orders and each order can have multiple details associated with it. And if you're not familiar with how this thing was set up, go watch my invoicing video and I explain all of that in that video. Now, what I see people try to do a lot is they try to make one form to edit data that's in multiple tables, and that's not a good idea. All right, for example, create, query design, right? You take the customer table, you bring over the order table, you bring over the order detail table, and these things are all related to each other, right? So, okay, I want to see the customer ID, the first name, the last name, the address maybe, the order ID, the order date, whether it's paid, and then maybe the order detail ID, the product, the quantity, the unit price, all this stuff, right? And this is all in one big happy query, and I save it, and let's call this the customer order queue. Okay, and then I run this, and now I got all this information in here, and you can see here's all the customer information, here's all the order information, there's all the order details for each order, and then people try to make a form based on this, thinking they can just go in here and edit whatever they want. So they'll take a continuous form. Let's use my template one here. Right-click, Design View. All right, then they'll base this form on that query. All right, my customer order queue. And then we can take this and let's get rid of the fields that are in here. And now we can go to Form Design, Add Existing Fields. Here's all the fields from that query that we made, right? Let's just select all of them. We'll bring them all over in here. All right, little quick trick, then we can go to Arrange and go to Tabular. And look at that, it arranges them like that for us, right? Slide them over. And then I like to turn off the layout, remove layout after that. All right, then we got them all looking like this. Okay, slide them up, slide that up. Let's save it. Close this, close it, open it back up again. Okay, here's my form now where I've got all the fields. Here's all the customer fields, here's all the order fields, here's all the order detail fields. Okay, and then you come in here and you think you can edit something. All right, like let's say its name is Picard. Okay, and then as soon as I leave that record, it updated all that stuff. I'm thinking I'm just updating this one order or this one item. But I just changed all of these. What's going on here? Well, this is data from the customer table. All right, so if you're thinking about changing, maybe you got an address field in the order as well. A lot of times people do that. Right, you want to know specifically where an order was shipped. So you might have an address field in the customer table and then an address field also in the order table, right? But if you change something over here, these are customer fields. And if you change something over here, these are order fields. And if you change something over here, these are order detail fields. And this is why I recommend you don't make a form that has data from a query with multiple tables in it. It gets really confusing. Sometimes you'll run into a situation where because of the query, you can no longer edit data in here. It becomes a non-updatable record set. right? I got a whole video on non-updatable record sets. Go watch this one. Usually your query is too complicated and Access can't figure out what you want to edit. And so it says, well, you can't edit anything. All right, that's one of the things that happens. And another thing is it just gets confusing and Access might edit the wrong table. You've got two fields in here that are similar, like address, and you think you're editing the customer address and you're actually editing the order address or an ID, right? Remember, the order ID is going to be in a couple different places. It's going to be on the order form. It's also going to be a foreign key on the order detail form. So what do you do? How do you handle this? How do you set up, where you can edit the customer and the order and all that stuff? Well, what I recommend is use multiple forms. All right, a form should really only have data from one table on it. Okay, if you want to see the customers, here's the customers. If you want to see the orders, okay, here's the orders. Now notice here I've got a sub form, right? If you got orders and order details, use a sub form to show one-to-many relationships. You could do the same thing with customers and contacts, right? I also have contacts. A contact is anytime you talk to a customer, right? Here's a sub form showing the customer and their contacts. That's a one-to-many relationship. We don't want to put this on the same form. This is a separate form. It's just inside the other one. That's a subform. Want to learn more about subforms? I got a whole separate video on that. And I'll put links to all these down below. They're all free videos. You can watch them on my YouTube channel, on my website. Now, you can sometimes bring data from multiple tables together if you just want to display information, but you don't necessarily want to be able to edit both tables. Take, for example, let's say you've got your orders, right? Here's my order form, okay? And let's say just as a convenience, you want to also show the customer's credit limit on this form, okay? Because in the customer table, we do have a field called credit limit. Where is it? Right there. That's in the customer table. Okay? So what you can do is you can make a query for the orders and include some customer detail information. Okay, now this guy is currently based on just the order table, but we could make a query. Let me close this real quick. We could create a query. All right, let's bring in the order table, and we could join in the customer table. Okay? Bring all the order fields in and then bring in just the stuff you want to see from the customer table, like credit limit or whatever other fields you want to include in here. Okay, let's save this. I'll call this, I don't think I have an order queue yet. Let's make it order queue. Okay, now before you do anything, run this query and just make sure you can hit a new record down here on the bottom. If you don't see this new row, that means whatever you did that made your query uneditable. So that's bad. Okay, and be careful because you might still be able to edit this. I can probably come over here and change some of this stuff, and that's going to edit it in the customer table, but that's dangerous. Be careful, okay, because that could lead to unintended consequences. I'll show you how to fix that in just a second. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come back to our order form, this guy, right-click, design view. We're going to change, open up the properties. We're going to change the record source to that order queue now. Okay, now the order queue is going to include that new field. All right, so let me slide down this. Okay, and make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, I can add existing fields. Oh, look, there's the credit limit. That's off the customer table. Click and drag and drop it right there. Okay, now, and yeah, I know I'm not going to match the formatting and all that. This is actually bound to the customer table. If I close this and open it up, you can come in here and you can make changes to it. Okay, and I just updated that customer's credit limit. But again, I don't recommend this. It's dangerous. It will get you into bad habits. What you want to do is if you want to make changes to the customer record, come back here and change it. All right, because look, you run into these kind of problems. Now look, this is me, right? 3,000. This still says 5,000 over here because the record's still dirty. Dirty means it's still in the process of being edited. I have to actually leave this record and come back to it and see it updated over here. But again, this can cause issues, especially in a multi-user database. You got to be careful with this. So what I recommend is if you have any foreign fields in here, fields from a table that's not the primary field in that query or for this form, I recommend you lock or disable this. So I'm just going to come in here. I go to format, I go to format first. I like to make it like gray so the user recognizes that they can't edit that here. Even though Access allows it, I don't recommend it. I've seen lots of problems caused by this. Then you can open this up, go to data, and then you got two choices. You can either lock it, which means it looks the same, but you just can't change it, or you can disable it, which actually makes it look different. It's gray and stuff, right? Disable it. Well, it doesn't show up here, but you know what I mean. All right, now if I save it and close it and go back in, all right, I can see that credit limit's there, but I can't do anything. I can't even click on it. Okay, that's my recommendation. And again, I've had many students of mine and past clients who've built forms that were based on multiple tables, and just the fields get confused and Access causes problems. No, one table per form, right? Unless you just want to display information, that's fine. Another way it's handy is for doing form footer totals. For example, here I've got a customer list, right? Let's say I wanted to get a total down here of all of the maximum possible credit limit that, like, if all my customers came into the store tomorrow and spent all their credit limit up, how much would I be on the hook for? That kind of thing, right? Well, you can come in here, right click, design view, take the credit limit field, copy it and paste it, put it down here. Okay, open it up. And then in the control source, right, we can say equals the sum of credit limit, just like that. Here, I'll zoom in so you can see it better. It's equals the sum of the credit limit, right? That's the zoom window. There. Okay, and what happens is you can now get a total down here. Okay, but if that's not a field that's in the underlying table or query, this doesn't work. For example, let's say, hypothetically, you're taking the credit limit. Let's say, I don't know, you've got some other field in here that's based on the credit limit. Let's say it's half the credit limit, whatever. Copy, paste. Okay, I want to make a new field right here. Open this up. And let's say that this is, let's call it half credit. And the control source is the credit limit divided by 2, right? Equals credit limit divided by 2, just like that. Okay, and it's called half credit. Save it. All right, and now we'll open it back up again, and that works. We now have a new field called half credit in the form, right? It's not editable, though. You don't want to gray it out. But if I try to do the same trick down here, and I say, give me the sum of half credit, all right, it even sees it as a field, but you get an error down here. Why is that? Because it's not in the underlying table or query. Okay, so what you have to do is put that in a query itself, and then you can add that up. So for example, let's create query design. I'll bring in the customer table. I'll bring in the fields that I want, and then I'll make my calculated field here called half credit. And that'll be the credit limit divided by 2. And we'll save this as customer 2Q, or whatever you want to call it, right? Okay, so here's a query now, and there's the half credit field. Okay, so now this is actually a field in an underlying table or query. So now we take this form, we base it on customer 2Q that has that calculation in it. Okay, and now here we change the control source to half credit. Okay, now this calculation is pulling off of a field that's in the query under the form, and it works. See? So there are reasons why, there are beneficial reasons for why you would want to base a form off of a query. This is one of them. If you want calculations in it, and you want to be able to do sums on those calculations. Those calculated values, great. I prefer putting those in queries usually instead of directly in form fields, unless it's a single form. For continuous forms, I always use a query. But you want to be very, very careful of doing something like, where is it? Where is it? Where's the one I made? Oh, this guy. Right? Don't do this. Don't make a big continuous form that's got fields from multiple queries, or even a single form where you've got fields from multiple tables and you're trying to edit them. You'll just, trust me, you'll run into problems eventually. Okay? If you like this stuff and you want to learn more and you enjoy learning with me, check out my expert lessons. All right. Usually relationships and stuff like this is a little bit beyond what I cover in the beginner lessons, but definitely take the beginner lessons if you think you need them. But my expert lessons is where I spend a lot of time uncovering relationships and using forms with subforms and all kinds of extra stuff like that. I got lots of expert lessons available. We build invoices, we do form totals, we do report and grouping levels, all kinds of stuff, action queries. So this is all covered in my expert series. Once you're beyond the basics and you want to learn more about Access, but you're not quite into development, you don't want to learn, you don't want to be a programmer, you don't want to learn VBA, well, that's what my expert courses are for. They make you an expert without making you a developer. But I will make you developers too. I got lots of programming isn't scary, folks. All right, VBA is real simple to use, but this is the stuff that I cover in my expert classes. All right, so there you go. That is when you should and should not build a form that's based on a query, right? Okay, we're good? Everybody clear? Now, if you ask me in the future, I'm going to send you this video. Okay, so that is going to be your tech help video for today. I hope you learned something. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and post any comments you may have below. I do try to read and answer all of them as soon as I can. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. Click the bell icon and select all to receive notifications when new videos are posted. Want to learn more? Click the Show More link below the video to find additional resources and links. YouTube does a pretty good job of hiding it. It's right down there. See this part of the description here, right? The name, the video's up here. There's a little Show More down there, right down the bottom. Kind of hard to find. But once you click on that, you'll see a list of other videos, additional information related to the current topic, free lessons, and lots more. And YouTube no longer sends out email notifications when new videos are posted like they used to do. But if you'd like to get an email every time I post a new video, click on the link to join my mailing list. And you can pick how frequently to get emails from me, either as they happen, daily, weekly, or monthly. Now, if you'd like to become a paid member of my channel and receive all kinds of awesome perks, click on the Join button. You'll see a list of all the different membership levels that are available, each with its own special perks, including my extended cut videos, access to my code vault, lots of VBA source code in there, template downloads, and lots more. I'll talk more about these perks at the end of the video. Even if you don't want to commit to becoming a paid member, and you'd like to help support my work, please feel free to click on the tip jar link. Your patronage is greatly appreciated and will help keep these free videos coming. I got some puppies to feed. But don't worry, no matter what, these free tech help videos are going to keep coming. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making more, and they'll always be free. Now, if you really want to learn Access and you haven't tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, and more. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or on my YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? The whole thing, free, 4 hours. Go watch it. And okay, a lot of you have told me that you don't have time to sit through a 4-hour course. So I do now have a quicker Microsoft Access for Beginners video that covers all the basics faster in about 30 minutes. And no, I didn't just put the video on fast forward. But I'll put a link to this down below as well. Now, if you like level 1, level 2 is just $1. That's it, $1. And that's another whole 90-minute course. Level 2 is also free for paid members of any level, including supporters. So if you're a member, go watch level 2. It's free. Okay, want to get your question answered in a video just like this one? Visit my Tech Help page and send me your question there. Members get priority, of course. While I do try to read and respond to all of the comments posted below in the comments section, I only have time to go through them briefly a couple of times a month, and sometimes I get thousands of them. So send me your question here on the Tech Help page, and you'll have a better chance of getting it answered. And while you're on my website, be sure to stop by my Access forum. We've got lots of lively conversations about Microsoft Access and other topics. I have a fantastic group of moderators who help me answer questions. Shout out to Alex, Kevin, Scott, Adam, John, Dan, Juan, and everybody else who helps out on the site. I appreciate everything you do. I couldn't do it without you. Be sure to follow my blog, find me on Twitter, and of course on YouTube. Yeah, I'm on Facebook too, but I don't like Facebook. Don't get me started. Now, let's talk more about those member perks if you do decide to join as a paid member. There are different levels: silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. Silver members and up get access to all of my extended cut tech help videos, one free beginner class every month, and some other perks. Gold members get all the previous perks, plus access to download the sample databases that I build in my tech help videos, plus access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions that I use, the code that I build in most of the videos. You'll also get higher priority if you do submit any tech help questions. Now, answers are never guaranteed, but you do go higher in the list for me to read them. And if I like your question, you got a good chance of it being answered. You'll also get one free expert level class each month after you've finished the beginner series. Platinum members get all the previous perks plus even higher priority for tech help questions. You get access to all of my full beginner level courses for every subject. And I cover lots of different subjects like Word, Excel, VBA, ASP, lots of different stuff, not just Access. These are the full-length courses found on my website. You get all the beginner ones. In addition, once you finish the expert classes, you get one free developer class per month. So lots of training. And finally, you can also become a Diamond sponsor. You'll have your name or your company name listed on a sponsors page that will be shown on each video as long as you're a sponsor. You'll get a shout out in the video and a link to your website or product in the text below the video and on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by accesslearningzone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you again soon.